All right, 1 Kings chapter 11, the mighty fall. We all know that ultimate power corrupts, and absolute power corrupts absolutely. So we get to see this again. Unfortunately, Solomon is the third king of Israel, after his father David, who is after King Saul. And we have, unfortunately, the trend is still happening out that the king gets into his position, he becomes powerful, he drinks his own Kool-Aid too much, and he basically falls and becomes wicked and has problems. So we're going to see that today. Verse 1, but King Solomon loved many strange women, together with the daughter of Pharaoh, women of the Moabites, Ammonites, Edomites, Zidonians, and Hittites. Of the nations concerning which the Lord said unto the children of Israel, ye shall not go into them, neither shall they come in to you. For surely they will turn away your heart after their gods. Solomon clave unto these in love. And he had 700 wives, princesses, and 300 concubines, and his wives turned away his heart. For this is the problem that he had. Okay, Solomon was given an opportunity to have many wives. Back then, it was common for, again, princesses to be married to the kings of other nations to form alliances and bonds, to bring the two nations together so that they would have friendship and not war against each other. So Solomon, being the most powerful and wisest guy in the area, basically, it makes sense that they would want all of the kings in the area, their daughters, to marry him. Some of these wives the Lord gave to him. Basically, the Lord was okay with him having these many wives. Some of them, as we learn in verse 2, the Lord was not okay with. This is where the problem arises, basically. In fact, in the book Answers to Gospel Questions, Joseph Fielding Smith said, now turn to 2 Samuel 12, 7 and 8, and you'll find that the Lord gave David wives. In your reading of the Old Testament, you will also find that Solomon was blessed, and the Lord appeared to him and gave him visions and great blessings when he had plural wives. But later in his life, he took wives that the Lord did not give him. This is the problem. And so this is where the sin comes in, is he's taking wives he shouldn't be, basically. The Lord's not sanctioning it. So this is an important point. Some people point to this and talk about polygamy. This is actually mentioned in the book of Jacob in the Book of Mormon. The Doctrine and Covenants mentions this around plural marriage. When God sanctions it, it's allowed. If God does not sanction it, it's not allowed. It's pretty simple, basically. So that's the important thing we always have to look at, is that making sure that it is truly God's will, that that's what he wants done. So verse 4, it came to pass when Solomon was old that his wives turned away his heart after other gods, and his heart was not perfect with the Lord his God, as was the heart of David his father. So this is the problem, of course. He has all these wives. They come from different religions and cultures, and they all brought their own gods with them to do their own worship and their own religious practices. And as Solomon got older and probably got lazier in his attitudes and ideas because he was so wealthy, had so many servants doing things for him, he got lazy with his religion, basically. Worshiping God is something that you have to actively do. You can't passively worship God. He demands action. He demands it to be an active thing. To being humble is an active thing you have to work on all the time. Repenting is an active thing. It's not passive. Faith is active. It is doing. It's not just being. So this is important. The gospel is active. We have to stay active. Otherwise, we lose what we've gained, basically. So this is what we're learning here. Verse 5, for Solomon went after Ashtoreth, the goddess of the Zidonians. Remember, Ashtoreth is the female goddess of fertility. There was a lot of problems in King David's time and in Samuel's time as well, of the groves of trees and ritualistic sexual exploitations and sacrifices and things to her for fertility reasons. He also went after Milcom, the abomination of the Ammonites. So again, sacrificing children and other sexual impure things as well were going on. So Solomon got involved in all this, and he got caught up in worshiping all the gods and forgetting that there is the God, basically. Verse 6, and Solomon did evil in the sight of the Lord and went not fully after the Lord as did David his father. So this is probably something, again, this took years and years and years to happen. It wasn't just one day Solomon's righteous and good, the next day he's not. There's this little bit of whittling away that happens. These small temptations that eventually turn into larger temptations, that turn into bigger problems and things. And pretty soon you find yourself well down that road. So this is a warning for us, is to look at how are we dealing in the small things. How are we doing those little small things in life? You know, they say that there's three, the most common things that happen among people who leave the church. They stop praying to God daily, they stop reading their scriptures regularly, and they stop attending church regularly. Three things that seem innocuous and small and simple, but they are the three most common things that happen among people who leave the church. So if you're struggling to pray all the time, if you're not reading your scripture all the time, and you're wondering why you should go to church all the time, you might be finding yourself closer and closer to that door. And realize if that's not the way I want to go, then I need to pray more, I need to be reading my scriptures regularly, and I attend church all the time. Focus on those and use those. It's the little things that make the bigger difference. So all those little things add up. And this is the problem we have with sin, is we usually Satan loves to do small things. He knows he can't get you to do great things, but he can get you to do small things. And as he gets you to do those small things, they add up to great things down the road. And those great things are the bigger sins that you get in lots of trouble for. So it's the small things we have to watch out for, basically. So be careful with those. Okay, verse 7, then did Solomon build an high place for Chemosh, the abomination of Moab, in the hill that is before Jerusalem, and for Molech, the abomination of the children of Ammon. And likewise did he for all his strange wives, which burnt incense and sacrificed unto their gods.